Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, chapter 2, chapter title, Divinity and Divine Service. Text 1. Please repeat. Vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭah viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame
vyāsa
uvāca
iti
sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame
vyāsa
uvāca
iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo
viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ
pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ
pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame. Vyāsa uvāca. Vyāsa said, iti thus sampraśna, perfect inquiries, saṁhṛṣṭah, perfectly satisfied, viprāṇāṁ, of the sages there, raumaharṣaṇiḥ, the son of Romaharṣaṇa, namely Ugraśravā, pratipūjya, after thanking them, vacas, words, teṣāṁ, their, pravaktum, to reply to them, upacakrame, attempted. Translated and purport by His Divine Grace Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Translation: Ugraśravā, Sūta Gosvāmī, the son of Romaharṣaṇa, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the brāhmaṇas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. Purport: the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya asked Sūta Gosvāmī 6 questions, and so he is answering them one by one. Omajnānam timirandasya jnānanjana shalakya chakshurunmilitamena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vācālam pangum langayate girim yatkripātamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yudapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatudam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vyāsa uvāca iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo viprāṇāṁ raumaharṣaṇiḥ pratipūjya vacas teṣāṁ pravaktum upacakrame. Translation: this is spoken by Vyasadeva. He says, Ugraśravā, Sūta Gosvāmī, the son of Romaharṣaṇa, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the brāhmaṇas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. So, we are entering into the second chapter of the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The second chapter and the third chapter, these two chapters answer briefly the questions of the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. The questions put forth by them can be seen in the first chapter of the Bhagavatam, first canto. And Srila Prabhupada has given a very short purport, and the purport, it just gives us an idea that Sūta Gosvāmī is just going to reply the 6 questions. At least a very striking thing I see in the purport is that actually 6 questions were asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. We do not know whether we noticed that or not. They were speaking, and in between they were asking something. Then they will be speaking about the glories of Krishna, how his pastimes are very wonderful. They will say that Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshava atimartyani bhagavan guda kapatamanushaha. Guda kapatamanushaha. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balarama, played like a human being, and so masked he performed many superhuman acts. So they will speak like this, And then in between they will ask, oh, where did the religious principles take for shelter after having Krishna left this abode? In between they'll ask some question, and then they will say that we are never tired of hearing about the Supreme Personal Godhead's pastimes. So you please speak about the adventures of the various incarnations of the Lord. Like that they will say something and then they will ask a question. So we may not have even noticed that 6 questions were asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us the information that 6 questions were asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya to Sūta Gosvāmī. And very interesting that we are seeing Srila Vyasadeva, he is saying, iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo. He is saying that perfect questions were asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. Means here we see that Vyasadeva, he is appreciating the questions of the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. This particular subject, I refer to the particular verse that we see here, that Vyasadeva is appreciating the questions asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya, is repeated constantly in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Constantly it's repeated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Here we see that Vyasadeva, he is appreciating that the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya asked so wonderful questions, so perfect questions, that the speaker is very happy hearing the questions, because these questions are meant for the benefit of the society. Actually, we should know why these questions are considered as perfect questions, because these questions are in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the prime thing. Because it is having connection with Krishna, this is considered as the best question. And moreover, this is in connection with Krishna, but these questions are expecting a reply which will benefit the human society or even the all living entities. Because this is speaking of the beneficial of everyone. Actually, the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya, they were also thinking of benefiting themselves. They were not like the ordinary fools and rascals, nate vidu swartha katim hi vishnum. They do not know the purpose of life. It is not like that. They know clearly that they have to worship Krishna, they have to hear Krishna. That's why they are saying, Vayam tu na vitrupyama, we are never satisfied of hearing of the pastimes of the Lord. We are very happy to always hear about the pastimes of the Lord. So you please speak about the pastimes of the Lord. So they know swartha gatim hi vishnum. They are not nathe vidu. They are they know swartha gatim hi vishnum. My purpose of life is to serve Vishnu. So they know that Vishnu is the swartha gati of me. So they are ready to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. But these sages, they are, in one sense, they are very happy to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. The other sense, they are thinking about the foolish conditioned souls of the age of Kali, because they do not know the purpose of life. They do not know that where comes that? They do not know that they are being misguided by the age of Kali. So they are thinking of the benefit of the people of Kali Yuga. That's why they are saying, Prayen alpai sabhya khalavasmi nigejana manda samadamadayo mandabhagi upatrataha. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So they are thinking, oh, how I can benefit these foolish people. They are lazy and they are misguided. Even if they are trying to have some sort of self-realization, they want to approach some person so that they can know the higher value of life, but still they are misguided. They are completely misguided. There are so many bogus gurus, they misguide people by saying that you don't have to listen to me. They are saying that you don't listen to me. You don't have to listen to anybody. You listen to yourself. You have intelligence. You have to depend on somebody else. They speak all sorts of things, but then they don't understand that by preaching such a thing, others are listening to him. This itself is a bogus propaganda. If you say that, Lord, don't listen to others, then I should not listen to you, rascal, also. But you are saying that don't listen to others, but you yourself is making us all listen to you. So this is a very contradiction. Just like yesterday, I think the day before yesterday, Divrupa was telling that please Prabhu, please answer my friend, he is asking some strange questions. And what is the strange question by him? He is saying, Divrupa Prabhu, he is very clearly saying that we are depending on the knowledge of the Shastra. Our knowledge is perfect. I am not perfect, but our knowledge is perfect. My knowledge is perfect because I am taking knowledge from the Shastra. This person is saying that borrowed knowledge is no knowledge. You should have your own intelligence. Why? You are a human being, you have the intelligence. You should exercise your intelligence. Why you are borrowing knowledge from others? So borrowed knowledge is no knowledge. This is his philosophy. And I am saying that if you are saying that borrowed knowledge is no knowledge, then why I should get knowledge from you? You are saying that borrowed knowledge is no knowledge. It's correct. If I borrow knowledge from you, it is no knowledge for me. So I reject your knowledge. He is saying that borrowed knowledge, but I have to borrow his philosophy to come to the conclusion that borrowed, but by his philosophy itself, his philosophy should be rejected. So that's a wrong philosophy. So people in Kali Yuga, they want some guidance, but then they are misguided. Manda samadamadayo mandavai upadartah. So seeing this condition of such fallen people of Kali Yuga, the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya, they are asking these questions. So these questions are wonderful for many reasons. They are in connection with Krishna. They are for the benefit of the living entities, for every living entity, and this is also beneficial for the sages themselves, because they themselves are so eager to hear about the Lord. And then it just clearly defines what the position of the living entity is, what the living entity should do, everything is so perfectly there. That's why here it is mentioned sampraśna, perfect questions. Perfect questions are now asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. So it's mentioned sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo. Sūta Gosvāmī also completely satisfied. So I was just speaking about the subject matter, that Vyasadeva is saying perfect questions are asked by Sūta Gosvāmī. Exactly you will see the same thing repeated by Sūta Gosvāmī. When Sūta Gosvāmī is beginning to answer, he is saying that Munayas sadhu prashtoham bhavadbhi lokamangalam yatkrita krishna sampraśno yenatma suprasidati. Oh sages, you have asked so wonderful questions. I have been perfectly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Yeah, here I think the three answers are there. What we spoke is there. I didn't even realize. Even here Sūta Gosvāmī is saying why your questions are so perfect, because bhavadbhir lokamangalam, this is for the benefit of everybody. Yatkrita krishna sampraśno, it is about Krishna. Yenatma suprasidati, we are all satisfied hearing by these things. So that's why it's a sampraśna. This is a very perfect question. All you have asked, it's all perfect questions. So Vyasadeva, after hearing the questions of Naimiṣāraṇya, he could see that all perfect questions. And Sūta Gosvāmī, when he is beginning to ask, he is also taking the same subject. Wow, you have asked the perfect questions to me. And if you keep on going further into Bhagavatam, then you will see that how Parikshit Maharaj is appearing and how Parikshit Maharaj is having a time span of only 7 days to live further. And then the great sage Sukadeva Goswami then appears. Then after Sukadeva Goswami appears, Parikshit Maharaj is asking him a list of questions. In fact, a very big list of questions will be put by Parikshit Maharaj. And then before Sukadeva Goswami begins to speak, he also takes the same subject matter. He says, Shri Sukha uvāca, this comes in the second canto, first chapter and first verse. Shri Sukha uvāca, Varyan eshate prashna. Varyan, glorious. The questions that you have asked are glorious. Krito loka hitam nirupa, atmavit samatap pumsam, shroto vyadishu yappara. Loka hitam. Oh Parikshit, you have asked perfect questions. Because loka hitam, this is for the benefit of the loka, people of the world. Then the answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing. That subject matter is Krishna. So, it is the same subject. So, it means that when a disciple asks questions, he should ask the perfect questions that is beneficial to him, beneficial to others, and the subject matter should be Krishna. Then it is a sampraśna, it is a perfect question. Then the guru becomes happy, satisfied. Oh, wonderful questions are asked by my disciple. So, being pleased with such a disciple, then the Guru Maharaj, the Acharya, he starts answering the questions. So, this is the subject that we see here, and this does not end here. You go further, then Sukadeva Goswami starts speaking about various things. Then he will speak about not exactly Sukadeva Goswami speaks. Then this is Vidura speaking to Maitreya Rishi. Vidura is questioning Maitreya Rishi. It's interesting how Bhagavatam is set forth. Generally, we know that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is spoken by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. But Bhagavatam has been spoken many times. It was not just spoken 5000 years ago. It has been spoken many times. Because right now we are just touching a small subject that perfect questions are asked by the sages. And I am just saying that this keeps on coming. This theme of the Guru appreciating the disciple for asking the perfect questions. This particular theme is present many places in Bhagavatam. And I said even Sukadeva Goswami, he is also very happy. He is appreciating his disciple Parikshit Maharaj, how he is asking this question. Then gradually, if you go on, Parikshit Maharaj is answered by Sukadeva Goswami. At some point of time, then there is again interruption by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya by asking some other question. And to that question, the dialogue of Vidura and Maitreya Rishi comes. It is not the dialogue between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. It is between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. So, this is a different subject now it is going. But it is all in Bhagavatam. So, I will just, what I have understood by reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, I will just try to explain how the theme of Bhagavatam is going and how Bhagavatam is spoken in many places. Because yesterday I was just reading some subject, there I could, at least in the few chapters that I read yesterday, I could see that Bhagavatam was spoken long back in many places. Even in these two chapters I could see that it was spoken many places. So, let us see how it is spoken. First, we know Bhagavatam is written by Srila Vyasadeva. So, it is Bhagavatam is presented by Vyāsa. What is the second verse? Dharma Pradita Kaitava Atra Parma Nirmat Saranam Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahamuni Krite Kimba Pareishe. So, this is Mahamuni Krite. Vedavyas is a Mahamuni. He is writing, he is presenting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, we know this is Vyasadeva has given Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to us. So, this is Vyasadeva's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, Vyasadeva is speaking Bhagavatam to us and we are listening Bhagavatam from him. But if we go deep into the subject matter of what Vyasadeva has written, he himself is saying that this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken by Sūta Gosvāmī to the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. That was how Bhagavatam began. We just saw in the last chapter how Bhagavatam was the solution. In fact, the 6 questions asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya and the answers given by Sūta Gosvāmī will clearly conclude that Bhagavatam is meant to be heard and Bhagavatam is the solution for all problems and Bhagavatam establishes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That in the coming slokas you will be able to see what Sūta Gosvāmī is answering. So, Sūta Gosvāmī is speaking Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya because he had heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, who are the main persons in the theme of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, Sukadeva Goswami spoke Bhagavatam to Parikshit, that is there, and what was heard by Sūta Gosvāmī in that meeting between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami is now spoken by him to the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. So, that is also Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and that is now written by Vedavyas and that is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Because Munaya Sadhu Prashtoham was not spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. That was spoken by Sūta Gosvāmī. But Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya was not spoken by Sūta Gosvāmī. That was spoken by Vedavyas. Dharma Paridaketa was spoken by Vedavyas. Nigama Kalpadara Galitam was spoken by Vedavyas. That was not spoken by Sūta Gosvāmī. Even the very verse that we are seeing now, what is the verse? Iti sampraśna-saṁhṛṣṭo. Oh, wonderful questions were asked by the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya. This was not spoken by Sūta Gosvāmī. This is written by Vedavyas. Vedavyas is writing. So here we are seeing at least three places how Bhagavatam is spoken. But if you go still more into the subject, then you will understand that when Vidura is questioning Maitreya Rishi, then Maitreya Rishi will say that in fact, Maitreya Rishi will appreciate Vidura. In fact, that same sampraśna, the same thing, the theme that we are seeing here, will be said by Vidura also. That what wonderful questions you have asked. I am really happy that I have such a wonderful disciple. The best questions you have asked, and then he starts answering. And there he will say that this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and the devotional service is the supreme, and that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken long before. It's long before it was spoken. It was spoken by Lord Sankarsana to the sages of Kumaras, the four Kumaras, Sanat Kumaras. You should know this. The Sanat Kumaras heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Lord Sankarsana. So that's also there. Bhagavatam was spoken long before. This is long before. Sankarsana spoke Bhagavatam to the Sanat Kumara. That's there in Bhagavatam itself. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself is saying. This was spoken by Maitreya Rishi to Vidura. That Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord Sankarsana in the lower planets to the four Kumaras. And then you will also see that after having heard the Bhagavatam from Lord Sankarsana, the Sanat Kumara, the leader, he will speak Bhagavatam to, I think, no. He will speak this to, can you bring the third canto? The first one I was just having. I am not getting the name. This is Sankarayanaha. This is a very popular sage. He heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. I think let's wait for some time. Hope this is not a disturbance. Yeah, Sankyayana Rishi. So Sankyayana heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the Kumaras. Then Sankyayana Rishi, he spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Brihaspati and Parashara. So Parashara and Brihaspati, they heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Sankyayana. So that time also it's spoken. And then that Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam which was heard by Parashara, we don't know how Vyasadeva, he also should have heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Of course, he is the literal incarnation of the Lord. He knows. He is a Trikalanya. But as to follow the parampara, he would have heard from his father. So Bhagavatam is spoken. Then Parashara, he spoke the Bhagavatam to what? To whom? The great sage Sankyayana was the chief among the talentalists, and when he was describing the glories of the Lord in terms of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it so happened that my spiritual master Parashara and Brihaspati both heard him. The great sage Parashara, as aforementioned, being so advised by the great sage Pulastya, spoke unto me the foremost of the Puranas. So Parashara spoke Bhagavatam to Maitreya Rishi. This is how Maitreya Rishi came to know about Bhagavatam. And then every time whenever the proper questions were asked, then we will see that the spiritual master appreciates sampraśna. Wonderful questions are asked. And we all should know that second canto says that how the original Bhagavatam verses were spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself to Lord Brahma. So that's the Adi, the first, how the Chatushloki Bhagavatam then gradually expanded into more. So we can see how Bhagavatam is spoken in different places, in different situations, different times. And it is very interesting that how we can also see, because the subject matter is the same, but it is spoken in different places. Vedavyas, he is writing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in a situation when he found that he is not finding any satisfaction. Even after writing all the Vedic literature, still he could not find satisfaction. So he was in a very pitiable situation, that he was completely distressful. And because of that distress, he was just thinking, why I am distressed? I am doing everything for the welfare of all, but I am suffering. What should be the reason? Then Narada Muni instructed him that you should write Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Oh, this I forgot. Bhagavatam was spoken by Brahma to Narada after Brahma hearing it from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in many places, of course, this is disciplic succession. Generally from guru to disciple, it is also spoken. But in different places, it is spoken in different times. That also we should know. Just we see Vedavyas is writing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in a situation where he was in a very confused state, where he was very unhappy state. Then he started writing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for the whole world. And then Sūta Gosvāmī and Naimiṣāraṇya rishis, they are speaking Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in a situation where they were engaging in yajna for the benefit of the world. Then they could see that Sūta Gosvāmī, who knows the Puranas very well, he was somehow by providence was there, and then sages of Naimiṣāraṇya took advantage and heard from him. So this is the situation when Sūta Gosvāmī spoke Bhagavatam to Naimiṣāraṇya rishis. They were engaging in a 1,000-year sacrifice, long sacrifice they want to do. So that time it was spoken. And Sukadeva Goswami spoke Bhagavatam in a different time, when Parikshit Maharaj was about to die in 7 days. Then that time Parikshit Maharaj took advantage of Sukadeva Goswami and heard whole Bhagavatam from him for 7 days. And Maitreya Rishi heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam because of the advice of Pulastya. That's what we see here. Because of the advice of Pulastya, Parashara spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Maitreya Rishi. And then Bhagavatam was first spoken when Brahma was confused, because he couldn't see anybody, anything. He did not know why I am here, what I am meant to do. When he was in a very confused situation, that time he heard words, tapa, then he started doing meditation. Then when he saw the form of the Lord, then he glorified the Lord. That time the Lord spoke 4 slokas. That's the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, the initial 4 verses. So that was a different time, different circumstance when Bhagavatam was spoken. And it's interesting how Lord Sankarsana, he spoke Bhagavatam to the sages of the 4 Kumaras. It's very interesting because it's mentioned there that the 4 Kumaras and other sages also followed from the upper planetary system through the passage of river Ganga to the lower planetary system where Lord Sankarsana was residing. It is mentioned that they travel, because Ganga is flowing in all the planets, not only in the Bhumi, where we see Ganga is flowing from Gangotri and ending in Ganga Sagar, where it enters the ocean in Bengal. So that's not the full Ganga, that's only the Ganga for the Earth planet. But in every planet Ganga is flowing, like I think it's called Mandakini in the upper planets. So it is having different names in the upper planets and the lower planets also. So Ganga is flowing in practically throughout the universe. From upper planetary system to lower planetary system, Ganga is flowing. And Ganga is what? Ganga is the water from the Viraja river, because of Lord Vamanadev making a hole, and then that water has touched the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu in the form of Vamana, and then it flows down to the upper planetary system, then to the middle planetary system, then to the lower planetary system. So Ganga is the Charanamritam of the lotus feet of the Lord. This is Charanamrita. This is the water which has washed the lotus feet of the Lord. This is Charanamrita. So whoever is taking their dip in the holy Ganges, they are touching the lotus feet of the Lord. This is what this is what Bhagavatam says. Prabhupada writes in the purport. I was interestingly reading it yesterday. Whoever is taking bath in the river Ganges, they are touching the lotus feet of the Lord, because it is having connection with the lotus feet of the Lord. And then these yogis, sages, they are very experts. So just by having connection with the Ganga in the upper planetary system, they could immediately come to the lower planetary system. There are certain yogis, they are very powerful, that just through the water passage they will be able to go from one place to another place. They don't have to use a boating system and all. Boat is really takes a long time, and they don't have to swim, which also will take long time. Just say for example, the sage takes a dip in Gangotri, then in no time he will rise himself in Ganga Sagar. This is the very powerful mystic yogis. They have the perfection of dipping there, and then with the water connection they will come up somewhere. So these sages, they had the dip in the Ganga in the upper planetary system, and then they could easily come down to the lower planetary system because of the connection of Ganga. And with wet, it's mentioned in Bhagavatam that the hairs of the sages were completely wet when they heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Lord Sankarsana. So that was another situation where Bhagavatam was spoken. So like in different situation, Bhagavatam is spoken. And if you see 500 years before, Bhagavatam was spoken by Swarup Damodar, Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We see in Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord Sankarsana is speaking Bhagavatam to the four Kumaras. But 500 years before, the Supreme Godhead, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he relished hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Swarup Damodar, from Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, like that. From Gadadhar Pandit, he is so expert in reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He used to hear 100 times the story of Dhruva Maharaj, 100 times stories of Prahlad Maharaj. So he was releasing, the Supreme Lord himself was releasing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So that is also Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. How the 4 sloka Bhagavatam was spoken, and then it was all combined, more and more Bhagavatam was added by Vidura conversation with Maitreya Rishi, and then more conversation was added by Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, and more conversation was added by Sūta Gosvāmī and Naimiṣāraṇya Rishis, and then some more was added by Vyāsa. Like that, Bhagavatam is expanding. And if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was releasing Bhagavatam, that is also should be added to Bhagavatam. And it not ends. Now we have Bhaktivedanta Swami purports. So this is also Bhagavatam. Now Bhagavatam is now more expanded. Now to the people right now from Prabhupada's time, Bhagavatam means it's including of Bhagavatam purports, Bhaktivedanta purports by Srila Prabhupada. So that is also Bhagavatam. Now you are all hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We are now expanding more the purports of Srila Prabhupada. So that is also Bhagavatam. So like that, Bhagavatam is expanding. So we may say that there is just one line of purport given, but actually we can speak unlimitedly. Krishna Tulya Bhagavata Vibhu Sarvashaya Prati Shloke Prati Akshare Nana Artakaya. We can have countless meaning in Prati Shloka, Prati Akshara. Even for Akshara in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 18,000 slokas, we can find so many meanings for that. So it is difficult for me to restrict Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to 18,000 slokas, because maybe there should be lakhs of words in Srila Prabhupada's purport also. So that also we should add as Bhagavatam. In fact, we should know that 18,000 slokas is Bhagavatam, but still the Bhaktivedanta purport, that is also Bhagavatam. So that's sampraśna, what you can say, samḥṛṣṭa, mean more satisfaction hearing Bhaktivedanta purports also. Maybe the sages of Naimiṣāraṇya, they just missed the Bhaktivedanta purports, but we didn't miss any. At least we are fortunate that we are coming after Srila Prabhupada, so that we could now release Bhaktivedanta purports also. So that's our fortune. So now the perfect questions are asked, and then of course we can even discuss what are the 6 questions. Maybe already I took some 45 minutes. Maybe the next words when we speak, we can discuss what are the 6 questions, and one by one will be answered by Sūta Gosvāmī. Hare Krishna. So I stop here. Any questions, comments?
Just a small 2 doubts. One doubt is, what is the water poured by Brahma on the lotus feet of the Lord when he said that?
When he
was Vamana.
Yes, he poured water.
So Brahma pours water, no? What is that water? That is not Ganges.
I don't know, maybe I have to check.
And one more doubt is, so in like Krishna's pastime, we are saying Chaturmukha Brahma, when he is offering obeisances, many Brahma comes. Some Brahma comes now, 80 heads, 10 heads, 10,000 heads, like that. So in those universe, how Bhagavatam will be? Like now we have 18,000 verses. There may be just asking.
Yeah, maybe 18 lakh, 18 crores. What is the biggest number? So far we are using, what is it? Pecta. Billion, maybe 18 billion, maybe the trillion, billion, trillion, I think zillion is there. So many verses are also there. And we see how Ananta Shesh, he is having thousands of hoots, and with his mouth he is constantly glorifying the pastimes of the Lord, and it is as if he has never even begun to glorify the Lord, and it is going on for eternity. The Lord is unlimited, so Bhagavatam is unlimited. Vibhu Sarvasha, it is Vibhu. Vibhu means just great, it's just unlimited. Bhagavatam is unlimited. Okay, you can finish. Granthat Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.